What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected humanitarian activists sits down for what should be a routine interview, only to face an unexpected ambush, exposing the darker side of daytime television? What you're about to witness is a masterclass in grace under fire, as Angelina Jolie finds herself defending not just her career, but her character, against a host determined to undermine her, live on air. This isn't your typical celebrity interview. It's a battle of wits that will challenge everything you thought you knew about media integrity. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment, because this story grows more intense with every passing moment. That Tuesday morning, the atmosphere in the View studio felt different. The usual pre-show chatter among the hosts was quieter, more conspiratorial. Joy Behar sat at the iconic table, shuffling through her notes, a tight expression hinting at something she was ready to unleash. Ladies, we have Academy Award winner Angelina Jolie joining us today to discuss her latest directorial project and her ongoing humanitarian work. The producer announced through the earpieces. She'll be out in 5 minutes. Whoopi Goldberg noticed Joy's unusually rigid posture. You okay over there, Joy? You seem tense. Joy looked up, a tight smile on her face. I'm perfectly fine, Whoopi. Just very prepared. The other hosts exchanged wary glances. That look usually meant trouble. As the show's theme music began, the hosts took their positions, cameras rolled, and Whoopi delivered the warm introduction. Please welcome our next guest, Academy Award winning actress and director, Angelina Jolie. The audience erupted as Angelina walked onto the set, elegant in a tailored black blazer and crisp white shirt. She moved with her trademark poise, offering genuine smiles as she took her seat. Angelina, thank you so much for being here, Whoopi said warmly. We're thrilled to have you. Thank you for having me. Angelina replied calmly. It's always a pleasure to be here. The interview started smoothly. Sarah Haynes asked about Angelina's latest film, and she responded with thoughtful insights about the creative process. Sunny Hostin inquired about her humanitarian work, and Angelina spoke passionately about her recent trip to refugee camps in Jordan. But Joy sat silently watching. Her moment was coming. You know, Angelina, Joy finally interjected, her voice cutting sharply through the conversation. I have to ask about something that's been bothering me for some time. The studio seemed to hold its breath. Angelina turned toward Joy, composed but alert. Of course, Joy. What would you like to know? Joy leaned forward, eyes narrowing. It's interesting how you've positioned yourself as this great humanitarian, traveling the world, adopting children from various countries. But isn't there something a little colonial about all of this? The question struck like lightning. The other hosts stiffened. Angelina's eyebrows rose, but her composure remained intact. I'm sorry, could you clarify what you mean by colonial? She asked, voice steady, but with a hint of steel. Joy's smile widened, clearly pleased with the reaction she'd provoked. Well, here you are, a wealthy white woman from Hollywood, swooping into developing countries, taking children, making movies about their struggles. It all seems a textbook case of the white savior complex to me. The studio fell silent. Even the audience seemed stunned. Whoopi shifted uncomfortably, unprepared for this turn. Angelina took a deep breath, hands folded calmly in her lap. Joy, I understand my work can be seen through many lenses, and I welcome thoughtful discussion about the complexities of humanitarian aid. But I believe you're mischaracterizing both my intentions and my approach. Am I? Joy pressed, voice sharp, 'cause, from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've built an entire second career off the backs of other people's suffering. And don't even get me started on how you've used your adoptions as publicity opportunities. The other hosts looked mortified. Sarah Haynes tried to intervene. Joy, maybe we should. No. Sarah, let me finish, Joy snapped, eyes locked on Angelina. The audience deserves to hear this. We talk about privilege and accountability on this show, don't we? Well, here's a perfect example, right in front of us. Angelina's calm never wavered, but now there was fire in her eyes. Joy, I've spent nearly 2 decades working with the United Nations and various humanitarian organizations. Angelina began, her tone calm but firm. I've devoted significant time and resources to causes I care about deeply. If you want a substantive conversation about the complexities of international aid, I'm more than willing to engage. Oh, how noble, Joy said, dripping with sarcasm. But let's be real here, Angelina. How much of this is really about helping people? And how much is about making yourself feel better about your privileged life? Because it seems awfully convenient that your humanitarian work always comes with photographers and press coverage. The tension in the studio spiked. Whoopi finally spoke up. Joy, I think. Actually, Whoopi, let me address this directly. Angelina said, her voice steady despite the provocation. Joy, you're entitled to your opinions, but you're not entitled to misrepresent facts. The vast majority of my humanitarian work happens quietly, without cameras, without press, without fanfare. The trips that do receive coverage are designed to bring attention to crises that the media often ignores. Joy leaned back, a smug grin spreading across her face. So you admit you use these tragedies for publicity? I use my platform to shine light on humanitarian crises, Angelina replied firmly. If that bothers you, perhaps you should examine why drawing attention to human suffering makes you uncomfortable. Joy's expression flickered for a moment, then hardened. Don't try to turn this around on me. I'm not the one parading around the world with cameras in tow, collecting children like accessories. A collective gasp rippled through the studio. Even Joy's co-host looked shocked. Angelina's composure cracked slightly, her jaw tightened. Joy, that comment is not only offensive to me, it's offensive to my children, who are sitting at home watching their mother being attacked on national television. Well, maybe they should see who their mother really is. Joy shot back without hesitation. Maybe they should understand that they were adopted as part of a publicity strategy. The words hung in the air like poison. For the first time since the interview began, Angelina's mask slipped completely. Her eyes flashed with a mix of hurt and fury, freezing the studio. Excuse me, she said, her voice dropping to a whisper that carried more menace than a shout. Did you just suggest that I adopted my children for publicity? Joy, emboldened, leaned in. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, Angelina. The timing was convenient, wasn't it? Career struggling after the whole Brad Pitt situation. And suddenly you're Saint Angelina again, the woman who saves orphans. Joy, that's enough, Whoopi said firmly, trying to regain control. No, Whoopi, Angelina interrupted, raising a hand but never taking her eyes off Joy. Let her finish. I want to hear exactly what Joy Behar thinks about my family. Joy leaned forward, clearly relishing the spotlight. Look, I'm not saying you don't love those kids now, she said. But let's be honest about how this all started. You were the other woman who broke up America's sweethearts, and you needed a way to rehabilitate your image. What better way than to become Mother Teresa? The silence that followed was deafening. Even the camera operators seemed frozen. Sarah Haynes looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. Angelina stood slowly, deliberately, each movement measured. Joy, I've listened to you attack my work, my motivations, and my character. I've remained respectful because I understand that controversy drives ratings, and ratings drive paychecks. But the moment you bring my children into this, suggesting they were anything other than wanted and loved, you've crossed a line I will not tolerate. Oh, please. Joy scoffed, waving dismissively. Don't give me the righteous mother act. Everyone knows what you... Angelina's voice cut ice, cold through the studio. Everyone knows that I've provided loving homes for children who needed them. That I've dedicated my life to causes greater than myself. Or are you referring to the tabloid narratives you seem to confuse with journalism? Joy's face reddened slightly, but she pressed on. I'm talking about the facts, Angelina, the convenient timing, the carefully orchestrated photo ops, the way you've monetized your supposed altruism. Monetized. Angelina repeated, voice rising for the first time. Joy, I've donated millions of my own money to humanitarian causes. Millions. And if you think raising awareness about human suffering is somehow self-serving, perhaps that says more about you than it does about me. I've taken a salary of exactly $1 for my work with the UN, Angelina said evenly. But please, tell me more about how I've monetized helping refugees. A murmur ran through the audience. Joy's confidence flickered. Sensing this, she went for the jugular. You know what I think, Angelina? Joy snapped. I think you're a narcissist who's convinced herself that ego trips are actually noble causes. I think you collect countries' causes, and children like trophies, and I think it's time someone called you out. The studio erupted. Audience members gasped. Sunny Hostin's jaw dropped. Sarah Haynes hid her face in her hands, yet Angelina didn't explode. Instead, she smiled, not warmly, but with the kind of calm that only comes when someone hands you the exact ammunition you need. Joy, she said quietly, returning to her seat with deliberate composure. Thank you. You've just demonstrated something beautifully clear. Joy frowned, caught off guard. What are you talking about? You've shown everyone watching exactly what's wrong with modern media. Angelina said, her voice gaining strength. You've taken a platform that could be used to address real issues, real suffering, and turned it into a personal attack session fueled by gossip and your own need for attention. Joy's smirk faltered. I'm asking legitimate questions. No, Joy. You're not, Angelina interrupted firmly. You're making accusations without evidence, attacking a guest on your show, and using children as weapons in your verbal assault. There is nothing legitimate about this. The tide in the studio was shifting. Whoopi tried to intervene. Ladies, perhaps we should, actually. Whoopi, Angelina said, calm and commanding. I want to address something Joy said. She suggested my work is a publicity strategy. Joy, when was the last time you left this studio to actually help someone? When was the last time you used your platform for anything other than gossip or petty attacks? Joy's face flushed. That's different. I mean, I'm a comedian, a talk show host. Exactly. Angelina said with devastating simplicity. You're a talk show host. Your job is to facilitate meaningful conversation, not ambush guests with personal attacks. Yet here you are, hiding behind the pretense of journalism while bullying someone on national television. I am not bullying anyone, Joy protested, but her voice lacked its earlier confidence. Really? Angelina raised her eyebrows. You suggested my children were adopted for publicity, that my humanitarian work is fake, that my motivations are entirely selfish, that I'm a narcissist. If this isn't bullying, Joy, what is? The audience murmured agreement, clearly on Angelina's side. Joy tried to regain control. Look, Angelina, if you can't handle tough questions, tell questions, Angelina repeated incredulously. A tough question would be asking about the challenges of international adoption, the complexities of humanitarian aid, or balancing career and family. What you've done is launch personal attacks based on assumptions and gossip. They're not assumptions, Joy insisted weakly. Are they? Angelina leaned forward, laser-focused. You've accused me of adopting children for publicity. Do you have any evidence, any documentation, any source beyond your own prejudices? Joy opened her mouth, but no words came. She searched for support at the table, finding none. I thought so. Angelina continued. You accused me of monetizing humanitarian work. Again, financial records. Proof of personal profit. Anything concrete. Silence. Ready. Angelina's tone shifted from controlled anger to quiet disappointment. You've spent 10 minutes attacking a guest on your show, based on feelings and tabloid speculation. Is this really the kind of journalism you want to be remembered for? The question hung in the air. Joy's bravado evaporated. She shifted uncomfortably, realizing the audience and studio were fully on Angelina's side. And, Angelina continued, you did all of this while cameras were rolling, while my children might be watching, while millions witnessed you using your platform to tear someone down rather than build anything up. Is that really the legacy you want? Joy sat in stunned silence, the weight of Angelina's words settling over the studio like a heavy blanket. The audience was completely silent, hanging on every word. Even the production crew behind the cameras seemed frozen, unsure whether to keep rolling or cut to commercial. But Joy Behar wasn't the type to back down, even when cornered. Her face hardened, and when she spoke again, her voice carried a desperate edge. You know what, Angelina, you can sit there with your holier than thou attitude all you want, but I know who you really are. Everyone in Hollywood knows who you really are. Whoopi's eyes widened in alarm. Joy, don't. No, Whoopi. I'm done pretending. Joy snapped, spinning back to Angelina with renewed venom. You want to talk about my legacy? Let's talk about yours. Let's talk about how you seduced a married man away from his wife and children. Let's talk about how you destroyed Jennifer Aniston's marriage." A collective gasp went through the studio. This was no longer a professional interview, or even a heated debate. This was live, unfiltered character assassination. Angelina's expression didn't change, but her voice dropped to a dangerous, quiet level. "Joy, you need to stop talking right now." "Why? Because the truth hurts." Joy shot back, spiraling. Her professional composure had completely vanished. "You've spent years rewriting history, playing the victim, the humanitarian saint, but you're nothing more than a home wrecker who got good at public relations." "Joy!" Whoopi finally stood, her voice sharp. "That is enough. We're cutting to commercial." But Joy wasn't finished. She turned to the camera, addressing the audience directly. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is what privilege looks like. This is what happens when someone with money and power doesn't like being called out for their actions." Angelina rose slowly, movements deliberate, controlled. When she spoke, her voice carried the authority of someone who had faced down warlords and world leaders. "Joy, in the past 20 minutes, you've accused me of exploiting children, faking humanitarian work, and destroying marriages. You've done this without evidence, without professionalism, and without any apparent concern for the consequences of your words." "The consequences?" Joy laughed bitterly. "What are you going to do? Sue me? Have your lawyer shut me up?" "No, Joy," Angelina said calmly. "I'm going to let you destroy yourself?" "Which is exactly what you're doing right now." Joy's face twisted with rage. She was no longer thinking clearly, no longer measuring her words. "You think you're so much better than everyone else, don't you? You think your money and your UN title make you untouchable." "I think," Angelina said quietly, "that I'm speaking to someone who has lost all sense of professional boundaries and basic human decency." "Basic human decency?" Joy shrieked, voice rising to near scream. "You destroyed a family. You stole another woman's husband, and then had the audacity to parade around like some kind of saint." The studio was chaos. Audience members murmured and stood to get a better view. Production assistants signaled frantically to the director. Whoopi called repeatedly for a commercial break, but Angelina remained calm, the eye in the storm. "Joy, I've listened to you attack me relentlessly. I've watched you abandon any pretense of professionalism. I've seen you use this platform to launch personal attacks, and now I'm watching what appears to be a complete breakdown on live television." "I am not having a breakdown," Joy shouted, proving the point. "Look around you, Joy," Angelina said gently. "Look at your colleagues. Look at your audience. Look at what you've turned this show into." For the first time, Joy registered the horrified expressions of her co-hosts. Sarah Haynes looked mortified. Sunny Hostin shook her head in disbelief. Even some audience members were getting up to leave. But Joy doubled down one last time. "You know what? I don't care. Someone needed to say this. Someone needed to call you out for the fraud you are. The fraud I am," Angelina repeated slowly, every word precise. "Joy, in the time you've spent attacking me, children in refugee camps have gone without meals. Women fleeing violence have been denied shelter. People who could have been helped by the awareness this platform could generate have suffered. And all because you decided your personal vendetta was more important than using this opportunity responsibly." Her words landed like physical blows, and the weight of them pressed down on the studio. Joy's mouth opened and closed silently, finally realizing the magnitude of what she had done. Angelina gathered her purse and rose, her movements calm and deliberate. "Joy," she said quietly, "I hope that when you watch this back, you'll understand what you've revealed about yourself today. It wasn't my character that was exposed in this interview." "Where do you think you're going?" Joy demanded, her voice cracking slightly. "I'm leaving," Angelina replied simply. "I came here to discuss important work and meaningful causes. Instead, I've been subjected to a personal attack that has no place on any professional platform." "You can't just walk out," Joy protested desperately. "Actually, I can," Angelina said, turning to face her one last time. "And I am, because unlike you, I know when a conversation has become destructive rather than constructive." Joy jumped from her chair, finger pointing accusingly. "Don't you dare walk away from me." "I'm not finished." "Yes, Joy." A new voice called from off camera. "You are finished, Everyone turned to see the show's executive producer striding onto the set, flanked by 2 security guards. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing technical difficulties," Whoopi announced quickly. "We'll be right back after these messages." But the cameras kept rolling as chaos unfolded. "What is this?" Joy demanded, looking between the producer and the guards. "Joy, you need to come with us," the producer said firmly. "We need to talk now." "I'm in the middle of an interview," Joy protested. "No, Joy, you're in the middle of a meltdown," the producer replied. "And it ends now." Angelina watched with a mixture of sadness and resolve. She approached Whoopi, whose face reflected devastation. "Whoopi, I'm sorry this happened on your show," Angelina said softly. "Angelina, I am so sorry," Whoopi replied, voice heavy with emotion. "This is not what The View represents. This is not who we are." "I know," Angelina said graciously. "Don't let this reflect on you or the show. Everyone can see that this was one person's choices, not a reflection of your values." Meanwhile, Joy was still arguing with the producer. "You can't do this to me! I've been on this show for years! I have a contract!" "Joy, your contract doesn't give you the right to ambush guests with personal attacks," the producer replied firmly. "You've created a hostile work environment, damaged the show's reputation, and potentially exposed us to legal liability." "Legal liability," Joy's voice rose, "for allowing defamatory statements to be broadcast on national television," the producer explained. "You've made serious accusations without evidence. That is the definition of defamation." Color drained from Joy's face as the reality sank in. "Security will escort you to your dressing room to collect your things," the producer continued. "We'll discuss your future with the show tomorrow, but for today, you're done." "You can't kick me off my own show," Joy screamed, desperation creeping into her voice. "Actually, we can," the producer said calmly. "And we are." As security moved to escort her, Joy made one last, pleading attempt toward Angelina. "Angelina, you know I didn't mean. I was just asking tough questions. I was just doing my job." Angelina looked at her with measured pity. "Joy, your job was to interview me about my work. Instead, you attacked my family and my character. Those weren't tough questions. They were personal vendettas disguised as journalism." "Please," Joy begged, "don't let them do this to me." "I'm not doing this to you, Joy," Angelina said softly. "You did this to yourself." Security gently but firmly guided Joy off the set, her protests echoing through the studio. The remaining hosts sat in stunned silence as the dust settled. Angelina collected her things, poised and dignified. "Angelina," Sunny Hostin called softly, "I hope you know that what just happened doesn't represent how we feel about you or your work." "I know," Angelina replied with a sad smile. "And I hope your viewers understand that this is exactly why we need more thoughtful, responsible media coverage of important issues." As she walked off the set, the studio remained in shocked silence. The View had just witnessed one of its most dramatic and destructive episodes, all because one host chose personal animosity over professional responsibility. What began as a routine interview had become a masterclass in how quickly ego can overtake ethics and how grace under pressure can triumph over manufactured outrage.